Or I could just leave it live at this point. Sound check 1. Sound check 1.
Check. Check. Oh, do I need to start this up? Oh, it's already.
Yeah, go ahead and get her set up.
Site may contain inappropriate content.
No.
You're allowing people to stream live video?
Oh, well, I did mark explicit
Oh, okay. So
flag, so.
Alright. Do not have her log in. She'll have to log in.
Oh, for her chat, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. Did you get any sunburn? Thing you could talk on?
Nope. I imported those models, and that was the extent of.
You're talking about how the import went? I mean, like.
Dragging an FBX model.
Yeah, I mean, just the simplicity of it. So, I mean, did you drag it into your content folder and then it appeared in game, or did you have to do more than that? I imagine you added it to the content project.
You don't necessarily have to add it to the content project. It'll warn you if it's in like a different directory, just because, hey, you may not be able to get to this. I can't remember exactly what it says. You basically right-click on the models folder in your content browser. I can't remember what the name of that is. I can't remember if that is actually called content browser. You select it. You tell it what importer you want it to use, and you set some options on it, and it's there. You drag it over into your selected content. It shows up. Charlie can see us. But he's not in chat. Or at least, maybe that's because Cicely isn't logged in. So, for everyone out there, we're running a little bit late.
No, we're not. It's
not really?
A few minutes to start.
Still got like
we'll
3
be
minutes.
late because Cicely's not down here yet, but and I'm just now getting to the news.
Okay. Stegosaurus is in. I wonder why it's not showing Charlie. I'm the only one in the chat. Apparently you're not.
Harder, better, faster, stronger.
It doesn't quite have the same ring when you say it, and there's not the the effects going on in the background or over top of it. on delay, and that weirds me out.
Oh, did I get rid of it?
Did you get rid of what?
I had a Daft Punk app. Yeah, looks like I must have got rid of it.
Hold on.
Do you have it?
I probably do.
Where you can hit the buttons, it plays.
Well, I don't have the app. I probably have the MP3 because I.
Oh no! So the app gives you, like, it plays the beat of the song, and then you can push the words. So like there's harder, better, faster, stronger. There's no score or anything. There you go.
Not the app.
Little Blue Guys manufacturing stuff.
What?
Oh, from
Oh yeah, from the
7777
Interstellar.
Interstellar.
So it's showing only one person in chat for Charlie. It's showing only one person in chat for me. Different people.
I just see Stegosaurus. But does Charlie see Steg's chat?
I don't know. Log in. Still showing only one. It's kind of.
Well, chat. Say something. I mean, Charlie, if you're in the chat, say something.
He's going to go pee. We won't know for a while, I guess.
Because I'm not gonna just assume that Charlie is in the right
Right place.
TV stream.
Well, he said he can see us, so that would imply. I don't know. I see just me. Justin TV should not have net splits. Net splits were like an IRC thing. That was back in the day. No.
Did you see the comic that I shared a while ago? The dress the job, not the job you have, the job you want.
Yes.
And the guy sitting there in the
With
Batman, costume.
Yes. Watching you. Watching you.
Alright.
Your eldest was again freaked out by the train going by.
Females.
After doing that video, I just want to drop into the voice and say something. But I realize there's nothing to say because that's actually a serious comment. It's like, you know.
It's a serious comment, but the voice actually would fit.
Oh, I need a link. I need Indie Uprising. That's what it is.
I love her, but her isms annoy the hell out of me. You logged in as you?
I'm not logged in as anyone, so. What did.
Alright, let me check mail, see if I got any topics. When I hit. I'm going to save that for next week.
It's how can Charlie troll chat if we can't see him?
Should we let him know that we put him on the special troll block? Where the troll doesn't know he's actually blocked, but nobody else can see him. But he still thinks he's trolling like normal, but...
That's actually a brilliant thing. If that doesn't exist, it needs to.
I think they do that on Stack Overflow. I heard that on Jeff Atwood talking about that. Like, there's the Invisi troll option that they flip on you, and then...
Like, on the site or in the podcast?
On the site. So, like, if on Stack Overflow you keep trolling answers and such like that, that they'll flip this little bit, and you'll see all your posts, but nobody else will.
That is awesome. Okay, he's on GameMarx.com/live. Which, I don't know.
See, I'm on there too, but it doesn't show me in. Like, I didn't log in.
You're going to stare into Dylan's soul.
Tell him to type something into the chat window and hit enter, and then it'll prompt you to sign in. That's what I just got.
I think you just told him. Okay.
Well, you might beat the delay.
He can hear Mike.
Oh, okay. If you were fast enough, you would have beat the delay.
That is true, but
the 7-second beatboard delay that we're on.
I should have been playing that.
Just in case there's any
Avatar chat last week. I should have played more of that so I could get better at texting, because that's a skill you need to have.
Yeah, I popped in and signed in now. So I attempted to chat, and then it prompted me to sign in.
Alright. I told him basically he's going to try refreshing and then just switch from one. Try GameMarx.com/live. Try JustinTV/final. Eventually it has to work. There shouldn't be any concept of a net split on something like that, because that's the first thing that pops to mind, like IRC, but it's web-based. Like,
all right.
Okay.
Hey, Chad Carter just got into Google Plus.
I did too.
Now you can see that it's a whole lot of nothing.
I think I shared something, but I'm not sure.
You commented on the Chinook. I saw that.
Yes, I did.
I think the way I put it, because I was talking to Chad about this earlier, not Chad Carter, my friend Chad, because he actually got in, and I joked because his complaint is that Facebook is for 13-year-old girls and pedophiles. So, apparently Google Plus is okay though.
You look very sleepy.
I said, I still have nothing to say, but man, I can organize the people I could say it to if I had something to say. Like, it is the backwards introvert. I'm living the backwards introverted OCD social networking dream now. Cicely and John are here. Okay, so I guess Charlie's in. Yep. Did Stegs leave?
I don't see Stegs.
Huh. Wow. He was in earlier.
I remember to click record. Okay.
Hooray.
I was about to ask you.
We're broadcasting.
Back streets.
Charlie, I would pay you royalties. I'm assuming you're talking about the fact that I ripped off some of your material for one of our trials because it had to be said.
Stiggs just chatted, but he doesn't show up on my list anymore.
Huh.
He's the Phantom.
He's not showed up on mine.
Anyway, Charlie, I would pay you royalties if we were getting any profits off of this, but
If we do royalties, you actually owe us a check. I'll give you an address.
However, like, you need to watch the video. This is one of the finest trials. Well, no, it was one of the finest videos we've ever done.
I need to get...
Comedy-wise.
Sorry we're late. I need to get...
A drink.
A drink.
Have a drink!
Kisses.
Lucius's material. Charlie's a method actor. You don't want to know what the method is.
Good to know. 165. The Baby Owner's Manual. Buy it now on ThinkGeek.
I hate to... I shouldn't say this, but like every time I see a book on ThinkGeek, I'm like, I should check Amazon because they probably have it cheaper.
Probably so.
I know I did that with Cooking for Geeks.
Eat less often. Practice
I'm
less
not
often.
him.
Play alone for long periods of time without crying. Ha! Not this baby. Gnaw on objects frequently. Yep. Move independently and learn to roll over and sit up. Yep. Without help. Begin examining the world with their hands.
Oh. Okay. All right. We've kind of gone long, so let's do
Commercial.
Let's do the sunburn on the loading the 3D model.
Okay.
Get going here. Although, you know, it's Mad Ninja's not back in the chat again, is he? He's not on the show.
I see him though.
I kind of feel like we were used. I kind of feel like we were set up for a one night stand.
What?
Like he used us. He was in the chat until he was a guest and changed the theme song to his own song, and now we've never seen him again.
But that would be like a mini nightstand. He was in the chat for several nights. That was not.
It's like a one night stand and a handy in the morning.
Like we're being used to get something out of us. I don't know. Like
But no.
we wrote him into the will.
That's
and then
true. I guess for the definition of being used, he had to get something out of it from us.
we wrote him into the will, and then he.
Yeah, but there's no money to be
I don't know.
had.
There's no money. Well, then the joke's on him.
You're true. Haha. We have the last laugh.
Ah, we're still
How
poor.
could people comment when I don't see them on my viewer list?
Magic.
I don't know. I think Stegs is hacking the system.
Phantom.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Mike.
Dylan, I heard you checked out the Sunburn XNA game engine.
Yes, I did.
You loaded a model.
Yes, I went back into our Rocks projects and just started. After I've looked at some of the demos, just tried to load a model just to get started.
And I imagine you read reams of documentation and had to go online and send in call and support help emails to take our old crusty FBX model and get that to render in the game.
Nope.
Why,
Bring up-
I'm shocked.
I don't think you are.
Are you challenging my shock and awe?
We've been doing these commercials for a while.
Oh,
Why are you
God.
surprised that it
You're
was
not-
easy?
You're not helping me.
No.
You're not working with me here. The script, it was just so much better in rehearsal.
There was no script. There was no rehearsal. Anyway,
Yeah, so you went in and
open up the editor.
open the editor, add the model to the
Right-click.
project.
Choose what content importer you want to use. Set a couple of options. It gets added.
And then boom,
Drag it
model is in the game.
Models in the game.
Move on. No futzing with getting it loaded, content loaders, importers,
Right.
all that mess. Which it's not bad once you figured it out, but it can be a little hairy the first time.
You exit out of the editor, and there you go. It's there.
So, but then when you went in there, you did have the tiny model problem.
Yeah. I haven't played around with it that much. I haven't.
Play with it, and it makes it bigger.
Hope.
You walked right into that one. Everyone else can go to synapsegaming.com and check out the Sunburn Gaming Engine.
I thought there was at least a couple of prepositions more in there, and there wasn't. There weren't.
I went out on a high note. When you walked into that one, there it is. Hey, everyone, welcome to the show. I've got something highly important I got to do here.
Drink.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, yes. Pass over the Enterprise.
Oh.
To boldly go where no one has gone before. Give her some too.
Not on camera. Actually,
yeah, we can block the camera for you a few seconds. Oh, look, the baby's passed out.
If it was rum, maybe. Because
don't no.
No, because my grandmother gave me rum, and so I'm okay. And
whoa,
there you go.
Belgium just kicked me in the throat.
What's the statute of limitations on contributing to the delinquency of a minor?
I just got a throat punch from Belgium.
21.
Throat punch. You know, I hear if you punch someone in the throat, they will vomit violently. Charlie and John will get that one in chat, but no one else will.
We don't have a guest this week. Moving into the top. Been trying to line up and make sure we have guests and trying to make that more of a regular thing and feature of the show. So it's not just us rambling and going on. Although that's built our current audience, so
sometimes that's okay.
Yeah. But this will be a rambling going on, just us podcast. We just had a late minute date switching issue, but for the next two podcasts, the next podcast we have lined up is Andy Dunn, also known as the Z-Man, who is going to confirm all the legends and myths that I have told about him on the podcast, and probably correct and add to a few. Wow.
You're not doing this.
No,
not
I'm
on camera.
I didn't give her any. I'm just
but now...
the baby.
So what you're saying is you're getting her.
She just threw her pacifier over the edge. She's like, screw that crap.
You're just getting
8% alcohol by volume.
More spun up.
Go. Let's do this. Chug. Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
So Andy's on next week, and when Andy's on, I want to get deep into XNA framework, tiddly bits, and things like that. Yeah, little girl, you're going to have to be taken out of the room if you keep going this loud. Wait, no, there's beer. No, am I getting the beer now?
You won't like beer. It tastes horrible.
Yeah, you definitely, the first time you get it.
You have to acquire a taste. It's like,
but
same thing will happen with coffee. You will want it, and then you won't after you try it.
But yeah, I want to go with Andy. I want to have a conversation, because with Progenitor and some of the stuff that he does, you know, I professionally stalk the XNA forums. I subscribe to every forum's RSS feed, and anybody that posts anything that looks even remotely interesting, like one day I could care about that issue, I hit subscribe on the email thread. So, I mean, there's a lot of posts that I'm reading, and Andy winds up, you know, asking these questions and going to these really weird, deep, dark places, or getting in these really deep, dark threads, you know, that Sean comes out, and then basically many times end with, like, yeah, we can't really tell you what's going on there. Sorry. We're not allowed to, but yeah, I want to bring him on the show and, you know, talk about some of that cool stuff. Talk about some of that kind of edge performance stuff that, you know, maybe the average XNA game developer is not going to run into, but these would be good things to know, and not just be the Welcome to XNA podcast and, like, you know, oh yeah, it's so easy, and you just load up your sprite batch and you call your begins and your draws, and, you know, that's all it is. Like,
let's get that a lot of places.
Let's get dirty. Let's roll hands up and get dirty. And then the following week, so 2 podcasts from this one, we will have on, I believe it's pronounced Rena Chan. But I could be wrong because I haven't actually heard her say the name. And she is a voice actress, and mostly done work in like a Flash fan culture. But I mean, I've played her demo reels and stuff like that, and she is highly talented and excellent. And she has posted in the XNA forums offering to do voice work for indie games. And so I want to bring her on and kind of talk about, as you know, for indie game developers, how do you need to approach the voice actors? You know, what should game developer do? What should you let the voice actor do? How you should work? Granted, like everybody would be different, but kind of like when we had Sheldon on about writing, you know, it's kind of like let's go into a little bit about that kind of aspect.
It's another aspect
really interesting,
other than just programming.
Yeah. She's also cute and also cosplays, so you know. Turn in and
so we're
listen
gonna
to
get
an audio podcast of that. But you know what? We'll probably get some listeners just on that alone.
The chat will get interesting.
Welcome all. Oh, news this week. So no guests. Go right into the news. I guess the biggest thing that happened this week was ours did an article on Xbox Live Indie Games, and the subtitle was "No Way to Make a Living."
This article has been done a couple of times before. It seems.
I drunk because, like, I think on our podcast that's a drinking game. If you complain about any kind of revenue generation on Xbox, you drink. So drink again. Belgium's being a little bit nicer now. So in the article, it wraps up. It's no news to no one. It's not news to any listeners of the podcast. It's not news to any developers, but you're not going to make a living off of Xbox indie games.
Yeah,
in any way in the slightest, you will not make a living solely off of Xbox Live indie games. And if you do, the cardboard box you live in and the ramen you eat, you know, like that's no way to want to live. So I mean, that goes in there. I think Robert Boyd is quoted in there a few times, but Robert did a much longer interview and was only a few segments. So I think on Robert Blog or Gama Sutra, whatever, he posted the full interview. Like, hey, here's all the questions I was asked on that. Because, you know, it was slightly spun of like, oh, it was this horrible negative experience when, you know, Robert wants to point out, like, you know, Molly the Were Zombie Vampire or whatever that was that he did, you know, it's a pretty crap game, you know, and like to look at that and then like a year later realize Breath of Death is the same guy. He's like, you know, I got to make games and I got to get better at it, and that's good.
He's
that's a
moving
great
on
thing
to
of the
Steam,
service.
so it's not. I mean, it's not the place you stay. It's the kind of your jumping off point.
Now, the numbers quoted in here in the article, the two key ones that I focused on, because I actually emailed the author, Andrew Webster, and thanked him for covering it, and wanted to point out, like, hey, if you want to cover more indie games in the future, check out xboxindies.com. Yes, I'm the guy running it, but the news feed is all these sites, not just my own. So, I mean, here's like a one-stop shopping that you can see what's happening in the indie community, and then, you know, maybe use that as like a filter so that you can cover more by not having to do all the mining yourself. You can see when all of us are saying, like, wow, this game is awesome and it's just released, you know, and like 4 of the 7 or 8 sites on there now cover a game, you know, that you could, you know, like maybe that's worthy of ours to look into. And then, you know, to save ours time. Like, I know you're busy. I know you don't have time to go through the mess of every game every week. Let us do the filtering for you, you know. So I pointed him to that. But I wanted to ask him where he got his numbers, because he said in the article 1,400 Xbox Live indie games and average $3,800. You got the volume off now?
I thought I did.
All right. Failure to operate the PC. Well, that wasn't me either. So that wasn't our podcast. What did you just play? Are you on ESPN.com?
No, I went to Justin.tv and it was the home page, the splash page. I'm gonna try again.
/final.
Yeah. If you're gonna lean over like that, at least slide your mic forward or something so it's a little closer to your Cicely. Slide it up towards the computer that way.
This is gonna end in fail.
Well, I mean, you end up leaned over most. Okay.
This looks better.
All right.
Okay.
So the two numbers, back on topic, the two numbers, 1,400 games released, 3,800. And I asked him, you know, where would he get his numbers from, because there's like 1,900, something like, I think at the time I sent him an email, it was 1930, but there's over 1,900 Xbox indie games. There's been over 1,600 for a while. So I was kind of curious as to where he got those numbers. And he said he contacted Microsoft, and those are the numbers that Microsoft gave him. and which I posted this in another thread, and then the Z-Man, Accept No Substitute, made it its own thread. He admitted to derailing the original thread, so I was on a rail. It was his track, not the initial track. The initial track of the thread was a waste pointed anyway. Like, I didn't care at this point. I think the thread that was derailed was the ratings, because the ratings are ongoing and manipulating and all that, and Zana Games are in there, and they're proving that, and it's like, hey, we're not going to fix anything is not an answer, guys. You could fix things, and Andy posted that, hey, basically what Microsoft's not telling you is it's not worth the time or money or effort to fix it. It's not that it's impossible. It's totally possible. It's not worth it. And then I decided, since I had contacted Andrew, who'd written this Ars article, and confirmed these were Microsoft-provided numbers, that when asked by a reputable news site, such as ours, for, like some numbers and figures and things like that, they couldn't even be bothered to update what are at least year or greater than a year-old data set, right?
Yeah.
They just kicked out numbers from a year or two ago, right? When there was 1,400 games on the service.
I wonder who he contacted exactly.
Well, it was some PR contact
like
that they probably use frequently. Well, what's...
What?
I figured it out. It's the difference between using Firefox and a different browser. I have 2 different viewer lists.
One in Firefox and one
in Explorer.
One in Explorer?
Some people transfer through, but not everybody.
Does one get everybody, or does one...
No!
No?
Wow.
Only the Firefox people can see the Firefox people, and only the IE people can see the IE people.
So, Justin TV, better video support, or better recording support.
I'm wondering if that's
chat is wonky.
I wonder if that's not an HTML5 Flash thing, to where
they've got 2 different.
Yeah, the IE people are getting Flash, and the Firefox people are getting an HTML5 interface, and they don't quite have it. The chat's synced up, but not the who's logged in list.
Wow, that's bizarre. It's totally possible, though.
Yeah, it's plausible. We'll go with that. So, yeah, so whoever they contact, but, I mean, they basically, couldn't be bothered to go to Xbox.com, or, seeing what it was, even, check with somebody on the team, or, it was we sent this press release out a year ago, so just send that again.
It almost seems like they must have talked to some PR person outside the Xbox.
I imagine it was. I imagine that ours has a regular PR contact that they... Every time they we're getting a quote from Microsoft, or Microsoft has no comment,
whether it's
going
Xbox,
to the same
whether
person.
It's
whatever. I imagine.
Division.
I mean, I've heard this on Giant Bomb. They have this set up at the different agencies, and they when they write an article, they always send it kind of to the same person, same department, and say hey, you guys going to comment on this? We're running a story about your lawsuit. Do you have a comment? Which is a thing to do. I could do that for us, and we wouldn't get a damn reply. Fuck GameMarx. I mean, I don't even know the address to send to that for that reply to begin with. But I mean, when your title is Microsoft euthanizes Xbox Live indie games, you don't go to the top of the list.
Yeah.
Then again,
even if they knew about you,
I don't know. Well, I'm the little problem on the list. I don't know.
Actually, being the little problem would be the good thing. That means they know about you.
Yeah, I don't know if. When somebody writing an article, do they tell them, the nature of the article? Or they're like, hey, I'm writing an article on this, I just need these facts. Or, hey, I'm writing an article on your press release here, do you have any further statements? And then, that seems like it would be a very adversarial role, though. It seems like people then, the PR would give you no information because you're probably writing a slam article. So, I would imagine, because it's not like they can stop you from publishing it. So maybe you just send over this is what I'm going to put up in an hour or so. Do you have a comment? Because I don't imagine these guys sit on it that long either. But I have no idea what the protocol is in that world.
Right.
So, but yeah, somewhere in the protocol of that world, that's where you get those numbers. Now, what is interesting is, well, first of all, $3,800 average game. We know how stacked the head is, and how I posted on the site that. It's logarithmic. It's not linear, right? The drop off. So to say average is really a bad metric, because you're not going to have a very even distribution. So I wonder how many games beat the average, and I wonder what the median value is, what the actual middle value of the list is, and then I wonder if you were to take off the top 10, where does it fall? And just like, okay, we'll cut the head off. Now I think Fortress Craft wouldn't mean these numbers, because if they're quoting 3,800, I hope that was in sync with the 1,400 games. Then again, we all know how accurate Microsoft can run a database on Xbox Live Indie information, so it may not be. But if that's true, what they said is, at that point in time, when there was 1,400 games released, there was a little over $5 million gross earned off of indies, which actually surprised me to the high side. Like, that sounded like, wow, that's a little bit more money than I thought you guys would have made off the service. But
Divide
that's
that by...
not something to sneeze at, pocketing, $700,000, $1 million off of whatever, they get a little bit more than that. They get them a little bit more than $1 million, because they get a little bit more than a third, not quite a third, but a little bit more of 30% because of the point conversion thing. It's it's not straight 70-30, because they don't give you the full value of a point to start with, so they get a few there. But then, I mean, it's like, okay, if those numbers were, let's say, 2010 numbers, okay, which seems to be accurate for early 2010 for 1,400 games, then we're looking at 2 years of the service, roughly, a little bit more than 2 years of the service. Over $1 million in 2 years of the service? You can goddamn motherfucking hire a community manager. You have the budget to hire a community manager. That is fucking bullshit. You are making enough for that. I don't think you should say that Xbox Live Indie Games has to justify the XNA team.
Yeah.
Because that's like saying Visual Studio sales have to justify C#. It's like, no. Those are a framework team. They're doing other things.
You're bringing content to Windows.
Yeah.
So.
Plus, I mean, the XNA team is doing Windows Phone 7. Whether Windows Phone 7 saved the XNA team or the XNA team added to Windows Phone 7, that's a debatable point. You could make the argument that Windows Phone 7 got, XNA 4, although it didn't do shit for us, but, I mean, like, got touches on XNA 4, got them looking at the framework, got them an update and things like that. Without Windows Phone 7, they would have said, screw it. But there's a considerable amount of money. So I think you can take away from that of, there is more money than might be expected to be made. You're still not going to make a living off of that.
With that many games, I mean, the aggregate is going to be larger than you would think. Because that's a lot of games.
And again, it's few games taking most sales, not an even distribution. So that's another thing I hate about saying the average is 3,800, because I think new developers, people coming new to the platform, will look at that and go, "Oh, well, the average guy is getting $4,000." So I can spend a couple grand on my game and buy assets and things like that, and still double that. And it's like, no, the average game,
you're going to be out money.
Yeah. You're not thinking average in terms. You're not thinking the arithmetic mean. You're thinking the median, which is totally common, to make that assumption. But it is what it is, and it was good to see some press on ours. And I think before this article came out, I didn't actually queue this up in my news, but last week Sunday, I quoted the Xbox magazine, the official Xbox magazine, OXM, because they basically, since they started looking at indie games, the guy who's been looking at them basically, hey, I just want to, we've been doing this for a while, and here's my thoughts. And gamers, you need to fucking get over there's no achievements, and you need to go play indie games, because there's good fucking games down here that aren't getting played, and you just need to get over yourself. And press, you guys need to look at these. You need to quit excluding them arbitrarily. And then developers, the point was developers of, you guys got to market your game, and you know, I know you don't have achievements, but there's been plenty of these games that have put in awardments or trophies or something. You've got to do that. You know, you've got to prove that you can do them by doing them. Like, go in there, put in leaderboards, even though they're not full leaderboards. Put in achievements, even though they're not full achievements. And just keep doing it so that the gamers can keep realizing, like, why aren't these real achievements? Because I'm not allowed to do that. You know?
Right. Prove that we can do it, and then that is a good point, because you've complained a lot that Microsoft's not putting in leaderboards and achievements, and to see them used well would be a point in
it would be a point in the developer's favor. And more importantly, it would be a point for whoever internally for Microsoft is fighting to make the case, to point and go, yeah, that's a great strawman argument. Look at all these games that are doing it on their own anyway. Look how they would do it on their own. You know, they get it.
They could be 0-point achievements. They could be, they can have a system where you pull that feature.
There's tons. It could be indie cred instead of achievement points.
Yeah.
You know,
there's
and you get cred points. I actually would love that. I would love, instead of having, and this is a bigger overhaul of the system, but I would love to have, you have your achievement score. I would love to have indie cred, which is just indie achievements.
I think Xbox Live indie games would have to be much bigger than it is to get them to create a separate section.
It keeps it away from the achievement score. So it's like, we haven't soured the publisher's achievement score, but you kind of have your own. It's indie cred, man. It's like, how fucking hipster are you? You know, it's like, I got 12,000 in indie cred. You know,
that's almost
your achievement score is your EP for all the dude bros, and then your indie cred is for everybody else.
Well, it's for your hipsters.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, I played this awesome little game you've probably never heard of. In fact, that's all of them right now. But
well, I don't know. I think
but they did take it to task. He did take Microsoft to task. This is what I put in the article, and I quoted it because it came from the official Xbox magazine. It's kind of like, dude, I hope things go well for you Monday. You know. But yeah, he basically took Microsoft's attack of like, quit fucking treating them like shit. And
I'm sure he didn't say
promote
that
this
exactly.
service, but he came It was pretty choice words. Promote this service, give them leaderboards, give them achievements, work it out. It's wrong what you're doing to this service, for greed of the publishers. But then again, the greed of the publishers is going to be,
Yeah.
My advice to indie game developers is welcome to the machine. That's what this is. Just you can fight this all you want. It ain't changing. Not internally. Microsoft is not going to voluntarily throw this switch. Something external is going to have to happen to scare them into throwing this switch.
It's going to have to be a fundamental change, probably a new console cycle, or a new player in the console market. One or the other will do it. But
yeah. And right now it's not the Wii U.
No.
That's pretty much done and gone.
Well, I think it could happen internally if there was a different philosophy, and we've gone over this before, as far as consoles go. I don't know. Who knows? You look at a curated service like Steam, though, and
I don't want it to become curated. I don't think that's the answer. I think it needs to be open for what it is, and it needs to have a better search interface, and it needs to have ratings fixed, and it needs to be easier to rate and sort, and it needs to be able to where I could leave comments on things that I've purchased, like at Amazon. Like, oh yes, I bought this game, and here's a few words, so that when you go on there and you look through reviews, and they should do this for all content, not just Xbox Indies content.
So you don't just attribute a number of stars, you actually write something.
Yeah, and then
I agree.
That's the way your Droid marketplace works. That's the way your Apple marketplace works. You go into the app, and then you can flip over the comments. You just start reading a few. You read a couple 1 stars, you read a couple 5 stars, and you get a sense of like, okay, I understand what people love and hate about this. Like, I don't take the 1 stars to mean like the game sucks. I usually like, well, you didn't like something. Oh, this game doesn't run on the SD card, and you just absolutely hate that. Now I know that it doesn't run on the SD card, and I can weigh that whether that matters to me or not.
Well, given that the majority of A-list titles and XBLA titles are probably going to be, the curve is going to be probably shaped much like the indie games curve you were talking about there. that's probably not worthwhile to overhaul the whole Xbox system. Like I said, that's going to take like, the Xbox 720 or whatever. If they make some design decision where that suddenly makes sense across the board, if the game changes, but I don't see them doing that because, what's the point?
So, next item up I've got up for news is actually us, indirectly. XboxIndies.com update. So, if you haven't gone, go to XboxIndies.com. A few weeks ago, we added RSS feeds for new releases and recently updated. Those feeds used to work on App Hub, and then it got... Well, they used to work on the creator's site, and then it got App Hubbed.
Then App Hub happened.
Then App Hub happened, yeah. So and then now they don't work, but now you can go there and get new release feeds. And I embed the videos. If a game has put a trial video there, those are embedded in the RSS feed, so you can watch the new and updated there, or integrate that into your site and such. At the same time we did that, we extended the RSS feed, and we also added XML pages for all the games. So if you want to get game data out of Xbox Indies for your own use, you can get that off the site. The main thing that we added this week is the stats that we've been collecting. So when the rating scandals and such happened a couple months ago, we changed the way that we collected our stats. The first change was that we went to world scores instead of U.S. scores on the site. So basically we took the ratings and then we expanded the votes across all countries and the ratings across all countries and came back with a composite number for the ranking lists. And that was done mainly to try and mitigate the amount of U.S. rating manipulation and lessen the impact on Xbox Indies that had for us, because now it's like, well, you have to manipulate for all regions. Then again, the U.S. gets most of the votes, so it's highly disproportionate.
It's going to be weighted toward us anyway.
But we also started tracking the positions of games on the top-rated, the best-selling, and the best-selling all-time list, the best-selling today list, best-selling all-time, and the best-selling today lists, and track those positions. Because the problem that we ran into when we were tracking just the ratings is it takes a lot of votes for some of these games to affect a rating, but it didn't take nearly as many votes to affect a position in the list.
Because ratings are based on a quarter of a point.
Yeah, they're rounded to a quarter of a point. You never know how many it's going to take to affect that. It could be far less votes than you expect to change that.
Say if someone was trying to get a puzzle game up to the just the bare bottom,
just to break 100
of the top,
they could wake
50.
up Saturday morning and be number 28. So we started tracking the actual positions on the list and recording those daily. And now if you go to xboxnews.com, every game has charts that you can see their daily position on these lists. You can also see the total number of votes they had every day, so you can see if they had a massive influx of votes. So basically, the data set that we had when I was writing the articles and putting out there on the rating scandal, I've pushed that public. You can, for all these games, there's a CSV download link right next to the XML data link. You can download and open up in Excel the game, or you can get all the data if you want. You can download the entire data set that we have, all the data we have of all the list positions of all the games as CSV, and analyze yourself. I mean, if you think something's fishy going on, that's one of the main reasons behind putting all this out there, is to say, hey, this data is all public for anybody to grab and analyze and look at, and hopefully, because it becomes much more visible, it ceases the benefit of being able to manipulate the votes, because it's pretty transparent to the community, and then when it becomes that transparent to the community, hopefully it becomes that much harder for Microsoft to ignore. Yeah. If not fixing it, at least stopping. I don't know how they're manipulating ratings now. I don't know if it's through the Xbox dashboard, or if it's Xbox Japan isn't requiring gold accounts, and that's why it's easier.
It could be a different,
yeah, I have no idea.
Country.
You look at the Donna games, and it's high suspicious fraudulent activity going on in those charts
against them.
But the also thing, I had some fun. I added billboard charts too. So on the Xbox Indie site now too, there's a link that says charts at the top, and then you'll get for top-rated, best-selling today, best-selling all time, the Billboard-style charts would show you their position this week, their position 1 week ago, and their position 1 month ago, and little arrows whether they're moving up or down, or they're a debut on the list. So I kind of enjoy that look down, just like, oh, look, so-and-so's moving up, so-and-so's moving down. That's going on. What do we got in chat there? You look like you have a...
You were typing quite a bit.
You were typing
earlier.
quite furiously, and... What? What happened in chat? Don't make me pull up chat over here.
Okay, whatever. We're having conversations.
She says, putting down her half-finished beer.
Mostly finished beer. I was talking with Coolness about Game Center points.
Oh, Chad's in the chat.
And then I was talking...
Welcome, Chad, to the chat, and welcome to Google+. That's all a tweet on that. Now you can find out, like we were talking before the podcast, it's pretty much nothing.
It's Facebook, except not as evil and not as fully featured.
Yeah. Gama Sutra. Kama Chameleon Sutra. They had an article on there that's worth reading called Dissecting the Postmortem, Lessons Learned from 2 Years of Game Development Self-Reportage. So, on... What was that?
Garment Sutra.
The site he links to, or I think he talks about, on the site of my game developer, gdmag.com. I guess the game developers on GDMag write postmortems on their games. These are AAA quality games. These are AAA games now. Or at least not Xbox Live indies. They're indies, but Braid and Limbo indies, not...
Right. Indie studios, not
Silver Dollar games. So...
It always goes there.
It always does. He basically took a bunch of these and came up with a matrix way of categorizing the reasons for success and reasons for failure. So, like in each postmortem, there's a format they fill out where they say 5 things that went right, 5 things that went wrong on the game. Now, there's some bias in that because it's like your favorite 5 things that went right and your favorite 5 things that went wrong in the project. But overall, it's probably pretty good. And he goes through and he outlines a collection, and there's some statistics and, you know, of different areas and things, and frequency of things mentioned, and whether they were agile, you know, in development methodologies or not. The game developers were more than forthcoming when he had any questions too. He said, like, if I had questions or need to look in, they were more than forthcoming with like, oh no, that we're actually this or something, if you couldn't pin them down. But through the 24 postmortems, so basically one a month, it looks like they've done for the last 2 years. Development process is the number one success or failure metric in there. Not the actual coding, the art design, the testing, any of that. It's actually making sure you're led, focused with vision on what you should do. I don't think that's obvious. I mean, I don't think that's not obvious. You know, I think that's a pretty obvious finding. Yeah. But some of the other stuff is kind of interesting to read. It's definitely an article worth checking out. I'll link in the show notes. Did you have somewhere you wanted to go with that?
Not really. I actually thought about some of the games that released this week. We'll get into that in new releases, I think, because there's one game in particular that makes sense. Anyway.
Okay. This other one, I think I've talked about Sanya Weathers before on this blog, on this podcast. Her blog, Eating Bees, which is actually eatingbees.brokentoys.org.
I think I've seen you.
I've mentioned her a couple times, and I've shared some
Google
stuff.
Reader.
So she's a community manager, has been for many, many years. Came from being one of the most vocal, outspoken critics of the community. So there's the roots of her is very valid and real, but she's very good at what she does. And she has a blog, and it's good stuff. When she writes something, I mean, it's always like focused on dealing with the communities, but it's really good insight sometimes. She wrote something that was a little bit slightly different and off topic from what she normally writes, but still kind of pertains to the gaming community as a larger. And it's off of the It Gets Better campaign. So the whole LGBT, right, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered thing, where they got the videos up there and all these high-profile gay or lesbian. Isn't that the same thing?
I don't know. I don't think any of us in this room are qualified to speak for that.
No, I mean, like,
let's just
if you're gay,
this,
like,
so
you
we
really
don't
need to, like, is there, like, lesbian gay? Is that, like, a different? It's gay, right? Like, there's not, like, a different.
They're differentiating gay, male, and lesbian.
Yeah, but there's not, like, there's, like, lesbians have their own term, but there's, like, gay doesn't mean just the men, though. It sounds like...
This is like reverse sexism.
This sounds like somebody took the title groups from, like, the porn websites where they categorize everything.
No,
in which case it would be...
No, don't.
Would be categorized as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. Like, those would all be right above high heels, balloons, stepping on balls, you know, like... all those different subcategories and subcategories. I mean, once again, porn is on the forefront of all technology, and subgenreification, they have got it down.
I applaud
and they have distinct lines for their subgenres too.
I applaud the delicate and cautious way you have approached this controversial topic. Please continue.
So, and the point was in her blog is, you know, pretty much as her as a community manager to other community managers, that this is really bad in the gaming community. The gaming community is full of homophobic, racist slurs. You know, Xbox Live, it's a big joke. It's a big joke. But that it needs to start with us. It needs to start with us that have the forums, us that have the moderator controls, and just to go like, no, I don't care that you meant gay is stupid. It's deleted.
Yeah.
It's not cool. It's not tolerated here, and if you don't understand it, I'll ban you, okay? Basically was the gist of the post, of like, you need to, as community moderators, as somebody in charge of forum, to have that, you know, just have a zero tolerance policy and say like, no, I'm making a stand, I'm starting it here, and if the company doesn't have your back, you need to get a new company. You need to just... tell the company they don't want to come out on the wrong side of this. Do you really want to run an article that you fired me because I started censoring people that were attacking, you know, homophobic attacks? And, you know, it's like, hey, the kids will come back and they're like, no, I didn't mean gay, like gay people. I meant like gay, like dumb, or, you know, like whatever
South
slang.
Park episode.
Yeah, exactly. It's the South Park episode.
Literally.
But, you know, there's the whole argument, you know, like, it's just words, man. But, you know, like, no, they fucking carry intent. They carry meaning. And
yeah, I mean, you basically wouldn't use white or black as a slur,
or
for someone
first words, you know, for those, you know.
Yes, I was using an example
exactly
because I don't want to. You know.
But as who is it? Louis C.K. As Louis C.K. said, "Fuck you for putting that word in my head now." Like, you dance around
the
it.
N-word.
Yeah, the N-word.
Well, not even that. Like,
because you don't say it, but you put the word in my head.
I
so
wasn't,
fuck you, because that's actually worse than something
now, hold
else to say.
on. I was not necessarily even dancing around the word.
I'm fucking with you, Don't go too far. Okay.
My point is, like, gay is one of those words that has been used innocuously, like black or white, to the point where it is a legitimate word, but it also carries different meanings. So yeah, I mean, I think if you were going to talk about this subject,
but I mean, it's
in
not
the context
only to
of race,
like the person who
black,
wrote it and what their intent was. It's like to the reader's intent and to the view of your community, and the view of the outside. Yeah. I mean, to the view of outside the gaming community, when they jump on and they're like shocked at, you know, like the dialogue that happens on Xbox Live, you know, chat. It's just to start saying like, no, it becomes, it's on ourselves, guys. It's on ourselves to, you know, grow up and police that. And we have a pretty strict no editing policy on comments. Yes. But I think in this case, I think I'm with Sanya on this. And if you come and are using these homophobic slurs, I'm going to treat it like a racial slur, and you're gone. You're out. I mean, like, I will interview Jonathan Fluke of Silver Dollar Games. I will not have on this podcast anybody from the Fortress Craft team,
because they
basically tacitly endorse their asshat of a PR guy. It's like he's gone off far too many times.
I'd completely forgotten about that.
And dropped too many racial slurs and defended himself, and they've just sat there passively like, oh, we told him don't do it. Oh, it's like, no, fuck it. At this point, you're letting him do it for the spectacle of keeping your name in the news. Fine if you want to do that. You're not welcome on the show. I'm not willing to go there.
I think there's a very fine line you have to walk if you're managing a community, because I've seen people take the censorship route and use it as a way to kind of exercise power on other people. There's a very...
Which is why we've gone the other route. We've tried to be like, no. If you're going to come up there and you're going to argue that you weren't actually the developer posting as the developer and all that, like, we're going to leave it. We're going to leave it. It's matter of record on the internet.
I think it's...
If you engage in personal attacks, though.
I think it's... Yeah, if you engage in personal attacks. I think
as long as you say... What was the quote on Total Minor Forge or whatever? This game is a fucking piece of shit. I mean, as long as it's the game is a fucking piece of shit.
And not this subgroup of people.
That is a matter of record. Yes. That exists on the internet. But yeah, if it's an attack on people, on developers, I think now I'm saying, we're gonna...
Yeah. Well, I don't think we... The types of comments we get
think the type of comments normally... we haven't had any of these in the past, but I think it's just going to be like, mod, I'm going to edit your post, I'm going to strike out and delete what you said, and you're going to be a comment, mod, no personal attacks. It's going to be larger than just LGBT. She brought this to light, because this is kind of the focus, and this is the videos, if you go and you watch them. But I mean, when you step back and you realize, like, no, it's a personal attack thing.
Yeah, I don't think... If you limit it to any particular race, gender, orientation, you're not seeing the big picture of the problem. And,
like George Carlin said, there's so much to hate the person for. Why do you have to rely on stereotypes?
Exactly.
Moving on, last news item that I've got queued up here is the...
Wait a minute, was there anything in chat on that? Because I figured that would be...
No, we're discussing words like rad and cool and Ninja Turtle.
Like these words have meaning above and beyond? Like there's multiple connotations of Ninja Turtle? No?
We went too deep, man.
Hey, you know what? We'll take a break here in the podcast and I'll give you one of Mike's game ideas. I should make like our segments again.
Oh.
Because I have like all these stupid little game ideas all the time.
Okay.
And then, like I'm not going to do anything with them. But I should just like make like a music segment and I'll turn this into a segment. I'll turn this into a segment for the show of Mike's game ideas. And Mike's game idea this week is based on real life experiences, quest for coffee. So, I have moved offices. So I have moved into a new building, and the new building is not construction complete yet, and coffee pots are not set up yet. And every morning is the freaking quest for coffee of, like, walking through buildings and construction zones back to, like, the old thing to find, like, a coffee pot with coffee. And so what I was thinking is, like, you play Quest for Coffee, and you get to work, and, like, the coffee pot's broken, and you have a coffee-based life meter that goes down, okay? Like, the longer you don't have coffee.
If you get it too high, does your heart explode?
Or
do you have, like, a panic attack?
You could do that. Yeah, you could do that. I don't know, since I drink so much, like, I don't know if that's possible.
You're like desensitized to it. It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I mean, at the point where your life goes down because you're not getting coffee, you probably don't care about ODing on the coffee. So
it's not possible anymore.
You could have the challenge though, because you got to get like back to your desk with the coffee. But you could like have found a coffee pot, but you got to like the last little bit, and it's not enough to get back to your desk with. So you can drink on, but that's just, you get a quest on for more coffee. You also have to avoid, like, the managers and such in the hallways, because if they run into you, they will slow you down with, like, where your TPS reports, and did you see the memo and all that, of, like,
They will actually try to talk to you.
They're talking to you, and your coffee meter is going down, because they're, like, draining on. Like, you need a certain amount of coffee to stay live, but it doubles when you're talking to that. And, of course, you can go to other places with that as well.
It sounds like the opposite of 10 minutes to
you know
kill
what
yourself.
since I shouldn't do this.
minutes.
I should save these up for multiple podcasts. I should save these up for multiple podcasts. I should not give out a second idea.
Yes, you actually should. I want to see some developer will do this if we have enough people in chat.
The idea that I want to get out is not the one I've told you,
be...
though.
The one you've
I
told
have
me?
these all the time. I have another one, but it's not the one that you're thinking of.
I'm actually not thinking. I've completely lost it. Apparently.
Okay, so since this is the first time,
considering the Quest for Coffee thing is a joke,
they're all joke ideas.
I don't file it away.
They're all gimmick ideas. You know, they're all like, that's a great premise for a stupid game that will have a flash in the pan success.
If you were a Flash developer or.
And you know what? These work on Xbox Live Indie games. If you do these well and you put good gameplay to them, I'm giving you the fun, sexy idea that makes it go viral.
Yeah.
Okay?
And it doesn't have to be too complicated. It just does one thing and does it well.
Do one thing well. So I'm going to give you out a bonus.
Okay.
A bonus one. This one is Captain Dubstep. Okay? And what you have to do on this game, all right, is, as a developer, you need to, I think you can do this, I think in theory this is possible. I haven't tested it, okay? I think you can do this in theory, though. You need to go into, Exact, and you need to take the song, and you need to have the song, obviously a dubstep, and if you're not familiar with dubstep, it's the wobble bass, the whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 you know, and then get your other stuff going on top of whoa, 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 you know, all that. That's my acapella dub spacing. All right.
Okay.
So you have all the tracks, okay, going in there. See, James Mad did you? He's fucking it up by not being in the chat right now. This is his game.
He's
this
the
is for
guy,
him
yes.
right now. Right, so you have all the tracks. All, you got the high, you got that up there. You got the, got that. You got the drop set up, so you can hit the, bring it back up and pace it all that. And you play it. Maybe it's a forest scroller, but I think it'd be better just as a free platformer. Okay. So you got Captain Dubstep.
Not because you have problems with
and he's got his techno gun with him. And the creatures all when they come on the screen, that's when you fade in the highs. The creature comes on the screen and he's moving up and down.
So this would be the platformer version of Groove.
When you fire the cannon, then you start playing the wobble bass track. So the cannon, and it comes out as waves. It's like the wave cannon from Metroid. See, the wave cannon is whoa, 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 whoa. Making a wave pattern to take out. Then when things get hectic, you get the power up and you get the drop bomb. So when everything's chaos and everything's going on, and you just get out of the scene real quick, you get the drop bomb. So it's going, you get the drop bomb. It's you could throw in a record scratch, to transport, and then start building it back up and get back in the game. But everything is synced to a dubstep track, and I think the way you do this is you execute all tracks immediately on loop, okay? So that then you just change the volume to set values when these things go on, so they all stay in sync. You fire the gun,
it kicks it up to 100.
I haven't tested the sync, but I think it's going to be in progress. I mean, seeing what James has done with emus, I think it's totally possible to just have these tracks going and then just fire them up and run them. Chat seems to be running with this idea.
Yes.
Yeah?
This is going to get...
Stags wants Matt just to make the game, but the substep sounds are just recordings of you from this episode.
Oh, there you go. You can take this. I will send James the high resolution wave file of this episode so that he can cut them out. It's a shame he's not in there. I mean, if he needs any other sound effects, because sometimes you have the triple step or something. I forget what they call the drums, but it's almost like a marching forward drum.
Triplets, diddles.
No. So it's in dubstep. It's a remixing thing.
Okay, it's a specific
and they have a drum,
dubstep.
but the snare drum is almost mixed on top of the snare drum itself. So it's in a 4-bar measure. And it's playing a 4-bar measure, but it completes in 3 measures and gives you this falling forward sense of the beat. I forget exactly what the name is. The kids these days, they have names for all this shit that didn't match what we called it in my day. We didn't call it a drop, we called it a break. Boki helped me figure that out. You know, 'cause I was like, I don't even know what the hell a drop is. You know, like I'm making jokes in chat because like I'm hanging out in the IRC chat, the XNA IRC chat lately, and every day I jump in. And James is talking about dubstepping this and this, and I've actually got a lot of cool dubstep groups now on my Zoom Pass because like he throws out a link to somebody like Skillrex, and I go download it. And I'm like, this is actually pretty good. So like half my Zoom collection lately, or my playlist lately, has been off of James mentioning it. And then like things me like going like while I'm mentioning that of like, you know what? I only have like one Data Mouse track or something. Like I'm just gonna go to Zoom Pass and like grab all this stuff. I'm actually album of the podcast. I recommend going out and getting 4x4 equals 12 from Data Mouse. Data Mouse.
Is that also dubstep or is this something?
DEADMAU 5 is the guy's DJ name. He's the DJ with the big ears. Got the big mouse head with the big ears. No, nothing.
DJ Mouse?
No, not Danger Mouse.
Not Danger Mouse.
Who has worked with Gnarls Barkley and Cee Lo, yeah. Not what's that? What's this latest Cee Lo song? The one that William Shatner did. Fuck You.
Yeah.
Latest? That's been been around for a while.
It's been around for a while. My favorite Cee Lo song is still "Sexual Chocolate."
Sexual Chocolate. I gotta go with Crazy.
Mighty Mouse.
It's not
Danger Mouse. Mighty Mouse.
Mighty
Well,
Mouse
you're going back to like
okay.
Gnarls Barkley with Crazy.
Yeah, Gnarls Barkley, Crazy. I mean, I know that's not one of Cee Lo's more crazier songs, like his more wild, out there, like the stuff he's done. That's tame, which is why he like did it in a Darth Vader outfit, you know, for the MTV Music Awards, because it's like the song itself isn't what like Fuck You.
Well, he did that song on some awards show, like dressed up like a chicken or something.
I fucking
love it. Paul Simon, still crazy after all these years. I salute the man. I
will follow the man into the gates of insanity hell. You know, like how are we gonna when Cthulhu actually comes to take over? How are we gonna fight?
Cee Lo Green,
because he can't make him insane. He will have no power over Cee Lo Green.
Cee Lo Green and Andre 3000, and we're set.
Yes. Cthulhu will die by a hair pick. That's how it goes down.
Wow. That was out there.
Out there and slightly racist.
Hey, guess what? Indie Uprising, the top 25 games have been announced. And so there were 70 plus games submitted to the Indie Game Summer Uprising. And they whittled the list down to the top 25, which was kind of a committee of the guys who are managing the site and coordinating the event. They came together and they whittled down the list of the top 25. I think it's only the 70 developers in the contest
that got to vote.
Will vote from the 25 down to top 8. I don't think it's all indie developers. I don't think you and I can cast a vote. I think it's just the ones.
I mean, that would make sense.
Participating. I could be wrong in that.
Technically, we don't have a game on the service anymore.
No, we don't. But I mean, as developers, if they do it, it'll probably be done in one of the developer forums or something like. Go get the play test, play it, and then vote here.
I see what you're saying. Not that that you have access.
It depends. If that's the case, I may approach Dave Boyles, who's kind of running it, and just say, hey, you know, like we are developers, we're all doing this. I wouldn't mind going through and casting a ballot, but if you know, because we do GameMarx, it's kind of a review site. If you don't want us, that's fine too.
That's a lot of stuff to go through and to give a fair vote. I feel like I don't know.
But I mean, going down the list, like I went down the list. It's on indiegames-uprising.com. And you can see the top 25 list. Like, it looks interesting. I mean, going down the list, it looks like this is a good showcase, even though it's not down to the final Uprising games. This looks like a good showcase of what's going on in indie games. This looks like a good platform. So, what will happen from here is the developers will vote the top 8, but the fans, everybody, will be open to vote on all 70 games and choose the last 2 places. So number 9 and number 10 will be fan voted in. right? So it's kind of a popularity contest, and graphics, and the fans obviously probably won't be able to play the games and such like the developers can.
Right.
But that's a way of like getting the people involved in the contest, so it gets more promotion. Because like, hey, you can go, vote and check out these games, and which indie game do you want to see promoted, and things like that.
A lot of them have screenshots and videos.
I gotta confess, like when this started, I didn't have a lot. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a poor shadow of the Winter Uprising. Like, that has some big name games in it and some proven developers coming in at it, and this is almost felt like kind of like a Me Too and a bunch of guys trying to capitalize on a promotion opportunity, But what it's become, where it's gone to, and props to Dave Voiles and his crew for, steering this and dealing with it. It looks like a pretty impressive list. And it looks like there are probably quality games that didn't make this top 25. Like, if this is a top 25...
still going to release. And
there are still some good games that could have been in this list. Maybe the fans will vote some up. I don't know how it goes on from here. But yeah, definitely.
They may do well when they hit the service. So, I remember looking through because I saw them post about it on Twitter, and they actually have screenshots and everything, and some of them actually look pretty amazing.
That they do. So now it is time for our new releases.
Do you want to talk about the game you played, or...
Oh, you're right. Now it's not time for that. I forgot that we actually played games this week, because your review from Esoterica America went out.
Well, I already talked about that.
Oh, you already talked about that. I, however, took it upon myself, because I felt like somebody had to.
Somebody had
because
to jump
the
on
last
the
podcast, we gave a Silver Dollar Games the Game of the Week. We gave Game of the Week to Fatal to Seduction. Make a note of that right there. So Fatal Seduction, we gave Game of the Week. Now, it was a rough week. So, I mean, it wasn't... It was tough.
It was between that and a Minecraft clone, I believe.
Yeah. So, you weren't
and I
there,
stood
man.
Out.
You did. You held out for the Minecraft clone.
Never forget that this is the week we gave... Silver Dollar, never forget what Silver Dollar
I decided
Games
to
has
see
done to us.
What the game was. Here's my buck, and let me play the rest of the game. And it is what we thought it was. They are who we thought they were.
That saddens me.
Now by that I mean, if you played the first 8 minutes of the trial, there's about another 8 minutes to the game, and you've played the game, okay?
Yeah.
There's no more gaming mechanics.
The gameplay wasn't that.
The only
crazy.
Reason to
Awesome.
spend $1 on this, I'll get a review typed up, and this will be a try. The only reason is if you try the game, and the story is something that you're kind of curious as to how it works out, go ahead and buy it. The story is interesting. It has an interesting ending. Because basically it's this little girl in an insane asylum who believes that demons are telling her to kill all of her father's girlfriends after her mother passed on, and don't let her father have a son by another woman because it'll be the devil. And so she's killing them, and you're hearing all these weird, like, news reporter type, like, oh, little girl, like, she does get arrested, later and all that, but I don't want to go into it too much because the trial is 8 minutes, and there's only about 8 minutes gameplay left. So, you're only going to get that. You're not going to play it again a second time. It's not worth it. There's no score. There's no points. It's not even any challenge. Like, I probably should have let her die just to see if she could actually die. Maybe I'll have to fire up the game and see if she can actually die. But,
it seemed to be relatively easy from the trial.
It was very easy.
They wanted you to play through it.
And a little bit later, they give you an ability she can use to restore all her health herself. So I actually did use that until the final fight. There are little mini bosses every few minutes that you go through. And then the final fight, kind of has one as well. It's the voice acting is solid. The story is well written. It didn't have a lot of bad writing, like it was written, it was well written, it was tight. Some effort you could tell was spent into it, or at least somebody who was skilled wrote that. Dialogue and such, it was well done, narrative to get through that. Even, and we've talked about this too, the art style and using the stock photography. If you remove yourself from the fact it's a silver dollar game,
and like every time I see stock photography, I'm like,
photography,
I know something's not right with this game.
The game has the vibe of, this is a weird little indie guy doing an art type game, weird, like a Jonathan Blow up and coming, like,
but without the resources to do something as sweeping
on the
as
PC
Braid.
You can get called Marriage, and it's like these two circles that you just move around, and like they get bigger when they're kind of close, but they get too close and they'll get smaller, and they get too far away, and it's some like big metaphor for like relationships or something. I don't know. It's high art, and I was like, yeah, I'm not digging that. I can't remember like what it was. I linked into it in reference of, but this has the vibes of like some guy like not really doing a game so much as like an art type experience, story, interactive story type thing. And the stock art in that way feels almost like used in an ironic fashion of like an indie guy laughing at the establishment by using stock photography to represent the people around this girl. It adds a layer of depth if you don't know it's a silver dollars game and they only use stock art.
Well, it's more of a learned reaction, like
because the chalkboard outline stuff is pretty cool.
Yes,
and the way they just kind of freeze that into the background every now and then, it's a cool effect. That got to give props for that. That's really done well. It all as a 18-minute experience, 20-minute experience. It is excellent. A 20-minute experience may not be worth $1 to you. For a game you're never going to play again.
Have you thought about what you're going to rate it, or?
Yeah,
okay.
Try. I said that earlier. I'll rate it a try. Because if you play the trial and that pops up and you want to go ahead and buy it, then go ahead and buy it. If you play that trial, you probably won't make it through. If you don't want to buy it, you'll like quit before you get to the end of it.
Yeah. Okay.
On that. So, now it is time for our new releases of the week. The new releases running from July 1st through July 7th. That is the GameMarx new week. Alright. The first one I have up is Tech Assault. This game was not even 3 megs.
No. This was actually the game I was talking about. It's a mech game. Graphics are a little rushed, or a little rough, sorry. But it seems like they've got an engine here. It seems like they've built an engine, but I don't really have any clue what they're doing with it. Like
they've got an engine, but man, like the view mechanics and seeing off, and I guess I killed a mech, but they don't blow up or anything. Well, they just kind of smoke above them. So like I thought I was beating it up. I didn't realize it was already dead. It's like a team versus team mech combat, and
okay. See, what happened for me was and it may be that certain, because you can customize the chassis and the body of the mech, and I picked the legs, and maybe that doesn't have as much speed as one of the other.
Possibly, although I couldn't figure out how you got cannons. Like all the enemies that came at me had cannons, and all I could select was rifles.
I didn't even notice that. I guess
I tried different chassis, and I tried all the buttons and everything, but that never changed it.
It just, like, it dropped me off in the middle of the desert, and I kept following my teammates, but I didn't see anything that looked like an objective. There was a map you could bring up, but it didn't really show anything. So, they had the beginnings of a decent engine, they just didn't really take it anywhere.
Yeah, so, I ran into, like, I was on the blue team, and then there were red mechs, and then basically you just shot each other. The blue team shot the red team, and I guess the last one standing won.
Yeah. There wasn't even a way to back out.
No. No.
Oh.
So it looks like the start of something, but it's definitely not worth anybody checking out, that's for sure. Speaking of which, Sniper Gallery. So this is another move the cursor around the screen and hit the targets, and I bombed out after 60 seconds. I honestly said, screw it. Was not interested in that. It's like playing Duck Hunt without the light gun.
Yep.
You know? Next one up is Lingolu.
That's what I thought it was supposed to be.
I'll go with that. Sure.
Lingaloo, I guess, is the other option.
Skinnarinky dinky dink.
So it took me a while. I had to back out of this game to realize what the hell I was supposed to do and read the instructions. So you got this little ship, and you're supposed to fly through these rings, and these rings are in 3D space. But instead of, like, seeing the view from your ship to know where you are in 3D space, you get this locked top-down perspective. And I guess you're supposed to use, like, your reflection on the sides of the walls to gauge, like, how deep you are. And then, it has my fucking favorite control mechanic of asteroids for the ship. Only now we have asteroids control in 3D, so I fucking love it even more.
I flew through a ring.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? You know.
I flew through a ring, but I could not do
that.
that was
I got through 2 minutes of this game, and then moved on. So, next one up is Block Jump. And I thought I was going to be intrigued by this game.
Yeah.
But I don't know what inspired this fucking game for the wall jumping mechanic that you have to use. It's like take the... So, alright. The wall jumping mechanic, which you have to use, like from the level 1.
From basically every jump.
Yeah, for every jump, you have to stick to a wall and jump. You have to jump on the wall, and to stop your guy from sliding down the wall, you have to hold into the wall. But then to jump again, you have to not hold into the wall to jump. So you're constantly like throwing the stick back and forth, and not confusing that with like controlling yourself in air on top of that. And it doesn't always register, like if you're trying to go straight up, right? Because you're going to land on the block that your wall stuck to. You don't want to jump over to the next block. So when you're trying to pull away and like, oh, I'm going to go up and over, then you're not really unsticking yourself from the wall. This got frustrating fast.
Controls were awkward. You didn't jump that far, so you had to use the wall jump mechanic a lot, like as a regular thing. It wasn't kind of a tool in your toolbox. It was.
So I got to level 3.
You moved
and then you
slow.
had to put that block down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So then it gave you a block which you could add to the screen at some point. So it was kind of a puzzle aspect to it, although it wasn't too difficult. It's like, I can't possibly make this jump. Let me drop my block here. I got to level 3, and the world started coming up from the bottom.
Oh yeah,
and I said, "Fuck this!" Exited the game. I don't know if you guys chose to go on beyond that, but
I had the same problem.
I tried to get there. I got up to the next level after I realized what was happening, and then they're like, "And now you have to put a block down." And I was like, "Fuck, quit."
The next game is a hard game without zombies, and I think
all it is.
This game looks like Nick Gravlin may be licensing the Pixelman graphics engine out to other developers.
I'd see that because it's kind of tile based.
I did kind of wonder. If it was if they'd actually used. Now, what Nick did was pretty cool because he used an image map to generate the level. So he actually created an image and then read the image data, and then from the texture data of the pixels generated the level. Which, genius for easy, quick level design. But this looked like it was going to turn into a hardest fun platformer fast.
Yeah.
I think by the second or third level, you have to like make this speed run, and if you don't make the run at the very end, like you're trying to outrun a fireball that's bouncing or something, and you got to almost time it perfect. And I got through it like once and then died later and had to restart. And I was just like, the rate this is going, not interesting me at all.
Yeah. I got to the third or fourth level, and part of the game mechanic is you can pick up these 3 stars that I think will unlock later levels. And the level I got stuck on, I did not find a logical way to get all 3 stars. Like, you would make a loop, you would go through half the level, and you'd have to loop back around to get the last star. But in going through the level, these blocks would fall out from under you, and so you had no way back through the second time around. So I don't know what the puzzle mechanic there is, if you can go back and replay a level and pick up another star. I would actually say, if you like the hardest fun platformer, you should probably check this out, because it definitely feels like it's doing some different sort of things. The puzzle mechanic.
I was just watching this mosquito was on you.
Oh.
I don't want you to.
The puzzle mechanic is actually really, really interesting. It feels like it does some things that I haven't seen a lot of other hardest fun platformers do, but otherwise, it will frustrate
Ninja, you motherfucking mosquito. Don't bring that shit to my house.
You have Mr. Miyagi that crap.
Alright. Next one we have up is Pirate Texas Hold'em. Just fucking play this game. It was called Zombie Poker Defense or whatever. Pirate Texas Hold'em Defense. So at least you're not playing against a poker slot machine now. You know, you're playing like this little Texas Hold'em, and there's like a betting thing. But based on how well you do on the poker hand, dictates what item you get to place in the tower defense round. Gets boring pretty quick.
Yeah. Basically, if you don't win every hand, especially the early ones where you don't have any towers in play, you're just going to get overrun. So, although I will admit, there is a certain amount of strategy there that, like, you just don't bet, save your money, then you can buy a better tower.
Well, you don't actually get to buy the towers, though. You just get a tower bought for
It's
you
just
based on the value
how
you had.
I don't know.
There's something maybe of an idea there, but oh man, and the
execution
is just
And the menus.
Let's
time
talk
you
about
click a menu,
the first game we
R.
actually did a video of. We did a video coming out next week of Monsters Shooting Monsters, and this is the same developer, Monster Bite Games, that did. Let me pull it up here. I don't remember the exact name on the other one.
Swimming?
Monsters Swimming. Also, Monsters in Neon Space. So it has the same art style of those other two. This kind of neon-esque, looking thing. This one is a dual stick shooter, and what it kind of offers to the dual stick shooter genre, you have kind of like this whip chain grappling arm thing. So you can grab creatures around you. Although they look like tanks, they don't look like creatures. And whip them into other creatures. So, and sling them into the walls and destroy them
the
that
large
way.
boss creatures you can actually pull apart piece by piece.
Yeah, the larger boss ones you can kind of pull apart. You look like some kind of spider crab thing moving around the screen, and it's, instead of imagining yourself on space, imagine yourself like on a surface. So if you can stand still and shoot, that's completely fine.
Yeah.
In the game, it's not like a constant moving type thing with it. So I mean, it's interesting. You know, fans of a dual stick shooter may want to check it out. I don't think it's going to attract people who are not fans of the dual stick shooter.
Yeah.
Next one up, we did a video of as well, Vizadi, and this is a puzzle game with a bunch of great looking art and possible storyline happening.
Yeah,
there should be a subgenre for that.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed the puzzle game, at least the first, I think it was 13, 14 levels that the trial lets you play. It's one of those puzzle games where I couldn't tell you the strategy, you just kind of have to get a feel for it. And the puzzles are kind of interesting. They're not too painful at this point, but
no, they didn't. So the puzzles is basically a match 3, and you move the blocks by either shifting all blocks on the board to the right or left, or rotating the board, or flipping the board over to cause the blocks to fall into new positions. But the art style looks great, and there might be a
Yes.
story to kind of play out entertaining while you're doing the puzzles. So, this could be worth a check out. Little buyer beware. This code forward on me when I played it, and this also code forward in our video of our trial. So there may be some bugs still in the game, but it's plausible that the developer has code to pop up an upsell screen, because the code for happened around the 7-minute mark each time. So it may be there's a code for in popping up a nag screen to say like, hey, time's running out, and if you buy the game, you get these things, and do a custom upsell experience. So it may not actually be in the game itself, but you just may want to know that before you lay down your hard-earned dollar. Next one up is Math Cruncher.
It's number munchers.
Yeah, you move a guy over the number on the square. If it matches whatever you're trying to get, such as multiples of 4 or whatever, then you munch that number, and you munch them all, and you win the level.
I mean, I have fond memories of that game as playing as a kid. It's okay. It doesn't have the same feel, and I think we were griping
Didn't
earlier.
capture the Commodore 64.
I played it on like Apple IIe, I think.
Oh, an Apple IIe, so it had more colors than green, is what you're saying.
Yes.
It was confusing.
I think we had a problem, and I don't remember if this was in the original game or not. The only game that's unlocked during the trial is multiples, and 0 is counted as a multiple. And, of course,
Yes.
that seems obvious because anything times 0 is 0, but when you're playing it, you're like...
Call bullshit on it.
See,
I
I
am
can't
not a
remember what the
mathematician.
original game did, but the original game may have
I
explained
am not a
it
mathematician, because I think mathematicians are full of shit sometimes. Especially with the whole, like, order of operations issue. So technically, like, in the world of computers,
Yes.
there is an established order of operations. And in kindergarten, there is an established order of operations. And if, like, multiply and divide are at the same level. So you evaluate left to right, right? Everybody in not kindergarten, but everybody in elementary school know this, and computers do this, and, average adults know this, but mathematicians get all fucking upset because they have equal precedence. So you don't evaluate them left to right, they are equal. And this math problem needs to be better stated with parentheses. But to me, it's like, you know what, fuck you. Everybody in the real world knew what it meant.
Well, technically, the reason they're grouped together is because no matter what... Well, okay, division...
See, what it's saying is
matter,
if, like, you have 3 times 4 divided by 6...
Yeah.
Right? Everybody in elementary school would go, oh, well, you go 3 times 4 first.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Then you divide by
division
6.
Is...
But mathematicians will go,
different.
no, that is an invalid math equation because the multiplication and division operators are of equal precedence.
So you need parentheses.
So you need parentheses to determine which ones you do first. And I'm like, fuck you. In the case of no parentheses, every kid out of elementary school knows what to do.
Order.
Yeah, exactly. The computers know what to do. You just need to get off your high damn horse and accept that left to right is what you do in that case. Just put an asterisk on your little rules and deal with it. But that's on a Know Your Meme thing, too. If you go to knowyourmeme.com, that's a Know Your Troll subgenre of, like, when somebody, like, what's the proper answer to this math question? They are trolling.
There are no complex formulas in this game, or complex expressions. This whole discussion has nothing to do with this game.
No, but for their whole, like, 0 is a multiple?
Yes.
Fuck you. I go with common sense.
I know, like...
And what I learned in elementary school.
It actually, what was funny is I started
everything
out
I need to know I learned in kindergarten. There's a book.
I'm not challenging that.
Okay.
Although it should be
Our
obvious.
next game up is Loot Fest.
Not Lutefisk, but
Not
Fest.
the O's are in yellow, so it could be Loot Fest. The German Loot Fest.
It's kind of a voxel Zelda or Diablo.
If you play Dot Heroes or Pixel Dot Heroes or whatever that was called on the PSN,
I did not. So okay,
it's
I've
got that.
the wrong...
That's the art style. It's the same art
Okay.
style. of everything's kind of made of the voxels, the volumetric pixels. But it's not a Minecraft game. So you run around, you kill things, you get money and loot, and then you go buy things at the store. You can't buy things in the trial, so we did a video of this, but unfortunately we couldn't figure out, like, okay, well, after you do this, like, does it evolve into a deep quest system? On the surface, from what we played, I wouldn't get your hopes up. It doesn't look like it's going to evolve into a deep, Zelda-esque style quest system.
It's going to be more
going to be
Diablo,
kill a bunch more,
burn through the quest,
exactly.
and then go back.
It's Diablo
and
without
it.
the devil, without the boss to fight at the end.
That's a way to put it.
That's the way it seems.
Well, there do seem to be bosses, because the guy that you talk to at first says, there are these 3 monsters that you have to kill. Anyway,
our next game, we did do video of.
Oh, is this the game?
It will be an epic video.
Oh.
Set your reminders now for Friday when this gets posted. When the video goes up, this will be a day in history you will want to remember, of the day that GameMarx did a video of how to get girls.
Now I have to say something here. I am so proud that someone finally made a game that are teaching our young people that women are things, women are objects. No one teaches that anymore.
I want you fans to know that Dylan does not drop the character.
No, I do. It took me a while to get into it.
There's a second or two where, took a few to get started.
There are things I had to say, I wanted to say in person, out of character.
98% of that video is in character.
And I will mention that I ripped off some stuff directly from Charlie. Like, I ripped off whole segments. And I'm sorry, but it had to be done. Like, it had to be said. The opportunity presented itself.
Charlie, you weren't there, man. You weren't there. Decisions were made. We had to do it.
On the flip side, we had to do this because this was just from the 4 questions that they give you. It's a quiz game that's supposed to teach you basically pickup artist tactics. Yes. It is horrible.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. I will say, in the defense of the game, the tactics that they are teaching are the tactics of the pickup artists. Okay? If you go out, and you can go get this stuff. You can go on the web, you can find this. David D'Angelo,
I think your argument there is like, no, this is actually how the Nazis did it. This is how they tried to take over Europe. That doesn't make it right.
No, it doesn't make it right, but it is effective. I mean, there is an effective thing. If you want to learn this, okay, I'm just going to tell you right now, if you want to learn this, get up the BitTorrents, go to for God's sake, man, don't pay $900 for a DVD collection. Don't be that guy. But
sell your soul.
Go to the BitTorrents, go to the news tracker sites or whatever. Pump in and search for anything by David D'Angelo. Watch what he teaches. And this is the same kind of stuff. I mean, that is... It's now, at least David will give you the background of why that is,
and why
what's going on, what you're really doing. This is just kind of... Now, this
game is suggestive, but it actually does give you some of the psychology behind it, although it's very light.
It's very light in that respect, and you need kind of more... there is a thing in the pickup artist world, though, of having a crutch and faking it until you understand it.
Right.
Like, once you kind of... why did we link out to there?
Because Alan did a...
well, nobody's going to know who he is in this podcast. So.
Well, they said it in chat, so...
He did a...
It was not me.
In chat?
Oh, it was said in chat?
It was said in chat.
Yeah, so what was said in chat, now the home listeners are going to know. Alan Stevens, hallenstevens.com is his blog. If you go there, he basically did a talk, and it's up on his site on there. Now this was for marketing, and this was for business world, and it was like taking the rules applied from pickup artists to the business world, and I mean it's all about communication. And if you watch, I've watched the David stuff. I pulled the David shit all over Sicily. Told her that, told her that later, and can't argue with the results, Maybe she would want to, but can't.
She's a weak-willed woman. Her mind doesn't work that well. She wanted to resist.
The thing is, at the crux of it, since we're way off topic at this point, we're totally trashing the Indies podcast, the new releases podcast, because people are like, I don't want to hear this. This is why I'm listening to the version without them ranting.
No, you must hear this. This game demands.
The game demands
this level of scrutiny.
But the game also demands to be ripped apart, and we did that.
Yes.
Because it's out of context, and when it's out of context, I think is when it has the sleazy pickup line.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it's understanding confidence, it's understanding communication, and it's understanding yourself when you're talking and what you think you're saying versus what you really are saying. And the biggest help for these guys, and this is good for the people that might be listening to this podcast and guys that might be listening to this podcast, and is to understand that if you idolize women, okay, if you put them up on the pedestal, if you treat them with the utmost of respect, if that's your, that was my upbringing, okay, you are the least attractive and least interesting person out there. And what you're doing, what you become, what you're communicating, whether you realize it or not, is you are asking for their approval. You're going out and please tell me I'm okay, and if I'm okay, please, you can go out me if that's okay with you, and all of that. And the communication on the subconscious level is this guy is not a strong male. He is not got his shit together. He is not confident in what he does. Now, the problem that I see and why this is good for the geeks and for the introvert and all that is when it comes to technology and it comes to their job, they're fucking opinionated, they know their shit, they have clear ideas, they're smart, they're funny, but when they react on women, this upbringing of
social situations,
the upbringing of on the pedestal and say everything nice and do everything that makes them come across as this dull, uninteresting guy, and really, like what David Angelo is trying to get you to do, is be the guy that you are around the other guys. Be the guy that you are when you think you aren't being evaluated for a date. And when you become that guy, you become comfortable in your own skin, you become attractive to all the women. Because the base that all this stuff goes to is that, they're looking for confidence is one of the biggest turn-ons and attractors for women. A man who is confident is highly attractive because he is, back to the roles of evolution, he is going to be a good protector, and, my children, by this guy, he will protect them, and they will survive the harsh environment.
And don't just be confident online. God help me how many men I've met online.
But you know what, David D'Angelo?
Not confident.
David D'Angelo actually recommends, getting online and getting in chat, and practicing all this shit, because you can really easily go make a profile that's not you, not tied to you, and get girls in chat, and
anonymity.
Then do these things and build up confidence that way. And it's if they just shut you down or shut the chat window down, who gives a fuck? It was an internet chat. You lost no face there.
The creepy thing, and the game does touch on this. The creepy thing is the underlying logic to all this is we think that we are not predictable. We think that we are special and unique and different, and we think for ourselves, and the truth is we don't. We react.
And the dark side is
it's
the pickup artist.
And you can use that.
Who realized, the dark side is the pickup artist who realized once they have the confidence, they can push these buttons, and boom, they're, having sex with women all night and, and just manipulating women. They are the pigs. They are, and all that. So
anyway, watch the video because we tear it apart.
Watch the video because what we do to it is well-deserved and
illegal in
I
several
think
states.
it's going to be hilarious. Next one up is Lucky Soft Beyond. This is a weird
It's a
game
stack
for
the boxes
stack
game.
the boxes above the line.
It's the opposite of Tetris.
Yeah, it's like fail Tetris. That's the goal.
Well, no, you're trying to stack boxes up to a certain height within a certain number of
attempts.
Right.
You have a little bird that flies over and drops it. This really seems like this is an iPhone game, and if it's not an iPhone game, it just should be.
Yeah.
Like, this is
It's a
weird for a
one-button-
console. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up is Zombie Death Car. Man, I had such expectations for this when I got into it, and I looked at it.
Why?
It's zombie death.
Because it
Car.
reminded me of Interstate 76, which I know
Oh.
you young kids have never played. But Interstate 76 was this seminal car game that, you know, your cars had guns and, you know, raced it in 3D. And the cars looked like, because that was kind of the tech of the time, the 3D level of this game was kind of like cutting edge tech for the times, that kind of style. But no, this is just run around and hit the zombies before they get to the center. And you don't have a radar or anything, and it's next to impossible to see where they're coming from.
Yeah, they were right up. And, I don't know. Yeah, the first couple levels, the last one, swarm.
Our next game, our final game this week, we did do video of, is Avatar Ninja 2. And this pretty much plays very close to Avatar Ninja. So if you didn't like that, you're not going to like this.
It's a button masher.
We didn't like that. We don't like this.
Well, it's
well, the thing with
graphically, it's very well done.
it's very polished.
It's still a button masher, so
It's still a
your
button
mileage
masher.
will vary.
And unlike some other button mashers where you have to time your jumps and it's a forced scroller, this you have the forced scroller, but you have to like constantly tap the A button to keep a rhythm going. And if you don't do that, you die. So you can't just focus on, you know, X to dodge, B to duck, you know, that kind of thing. When those obstacles come up, Y to throw like ninja stars and break things. You also have to constantly press A. And that annoys me, and I don't get very far in it, so I'm not interested
That will
in
wear
it.
out your thumb.
You have a lot of experience because you reviewed Avatar Ninja. It's up on the GameMarx site. So you were able to run quite far in the trial and make it to the second level.
Yeah.
But I don't know that this would warrant... If you were to play this, from what we've done at the trial,
Yeah.
if you were to play this out, this would not get any different of a review than... There's not enough of a significant
Probably
change.
not. The fact that you can buy upgrades, it's interesting. Like, it may
And
make
double
it
jump.
easier. It may make it easier on my thumb later. Well, that's just a second button I have to press with my thumb. I don't know. Like, again, it's a polarizing sort of game.
So, alright, that wraps up our new releases for the week.
Is there anything in chat? Come on, we went through the whole...
Well, we got Alan in chat. We have to pick a game of the week.
Oh, is that actually Alan that mentioned...
No.
Or...
No, I don't think Alan's in the chat.
No.
Alright, so let me
Curious
throw
who
out
brought that up.
possibilities. We're obviously not
Okay.
doing Avatar Ninja.
Oh.
We've got Loot Fest,
Coolness.
My two would probably
Viziti,
be Vizati,
and Monsters.
Vizati number 1 and Loot Fest number 2.
Loot Fest over Monsters?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even with the abbreviated trial.
Yeah, I guess just not feeling the dual stick.
Nah.
I kind of like Vizati too. What are your thoughts on Vizati versus Loot Fest, Cicely?
I like Loot Fest better. Vizati's okay.
I'm kind of curious to know. I mean, Loot Fest without a quest system, like just go gather stuff, feels
Gather
like
stuff, kill stuff.
like, hey, you got a great start of a game, and when you come back and use your game engine on the next thing, it's going to be pretty cool. But where it's at now, I don't know that I'm interested in that. I mean, if I was going to play one of these two, I'm more interested in playing Vizati for the possibility of the story more than the puzzle, because I'm almost mentally checked out on the puzzle. I'm almost like kind of going through the motions and not even realizing when it works, why it worked, or anything.
Yeah, it's a puzzle game, and I would probably get frustrated and fed up and stuck after a while. Loot Fest I may play longer, but it could drag depending on
The idea
the
of grinding
quest
is
is.
not appealing to me. So I'm going to say
8 minutes
my
is not
number
enough
one
with either
is
of these.
Vizati. My number one is Vizzotti.
Yeah, that's my number one as
That's
well.
still number one?
I will go with it.
Okay, we're going with that. So, congratulations, Vizzotti. GameMarx Game of the Week. Has the developer done anything before? Let's see.
Don't let last week's...
No, I'm just pulling it up. No, I don't have anything about it.
Say, don't let last week's winner drag you...
What? Oh, there's a fact that there's a story or something? Or just...
No, the fact that, like, you know... We cheapened it by... no, I shouldn't say that. Silver Dog Games.
I'm not saying they're a gold digger, but... Anything from chat?
Not relevant.
Not relevant. I
Was it
challenge
at
you
one
that there
point
is
relevant?
relevance on this podcast.
We just went into... I mean...
Like Andy in the email was like, can I have, ideas of the questions or something so I don't wander on the podcast? I'm like... Have you listened to the podcast? The podcast is a wandering ramble.
The podcast is now wondering if you have a tramp stamp, and they wish for you to prove that you do not have one.
Is that just Charlie wanting to see me naked?
Oh my
Perchance.
gosh. Who was that addressed to?
They want
anyone? Because... Oh my gosh.
We will end the podcast by...
spilling your
proving
water.
That Dr. Zaius does not have a tramp stamp.
Oh, that... I'm going to laugh if there's, like, something imprinted. Like, that's where they chose to do the imprint of the...
It is where they chose to write the... Hold on. There we go. There you go. There's no... Champ stamp on Dr. Zaius. I hope that satisfied the chat. Show me on Dr. Zaius' doll where they touched you, Dylan.
Where who touched me? Is this going to be like...
Those damn dirty apes, Dylan. Where did they touch you? They didn't like what they found. Alright, I think we're done. I think we've been done.
We have been done.
Yeah.
This was a week.
This was a week, yes.
Indeed.
7 days did elapse. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening to the show. Check us out next week. We will have the Z-Man, Andy Dunn, on the show to go deep into the XNA world and talk about some high memory management optimizations and things like that he's had to do for squeezing performance. Some of the impressive stuff that he's worked on. And then following week, tune in to hear voice actress Rina Chan join us on the show and talk about voice acting and how you can get some voice acting if you're a developer. What you need to know to get voice acting in your game. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the show.